to the next point. We should ensure whatever we see is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Hello learners, you are welcome to another e-learning class in economics. My name is Obi Ifeanyi. Today we are going to look at another important topic. Everything we do in this world has a beginning. This economics we are doing, it has a beginning. We've done so many topics before the examination. Now WAEC is over and NECO is almost on. For the benefit of our younger ones that are starting the economics before we went for COVID break, we are still going to look at what's the nature and scope of economics. It is very important in every life. In anything you are doing, somebody may ask you, what is this you are doing? You should be able to explain what you are doing. So we have to go and look at the nature and scope of economics. So we are going to look at, today we are going to look at the outline for today. We have a definition of economics. We are going to see what the experts or scholars say economics is, so that you as a learner will look into it and copy from them for your own understanding. It is very, very important. In everything you do, in every topic, you have your definitions, a definition of this, definition of that. Now, let us look at the definition of economics and see what experts and scholars say about economics. He said that many experts have defined economics in many ways since the publication of Adam Smith that saw economics as inquiry into the nature and causes of wealth of nations. People have defined it, that is, people have defined economics as 1, the science of wealth. 2, the study of scarcity. 3, the study of activities of man. 4, the study of activities of man that pertains to making a living. The most acceptable definition of economics is offered by Professor Lord Robbins, who defined economics as the science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. This definition of Professor Lord Robbins is expected of every economics student to define it and define it well. It is the most acceptable definition, and in your WAEC, those of you that will still write WAEC, by the time you get any WAEC question paper, past questions, in introducing you to objective test, WAEC normally use this definition of economics to show you how to answer objective tests. Now, Robbins said that economics is a science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. This definition covers some major aspects such as wants, scarcity, human behavior, and choice. As we move on, we will now look into these ends and means and see what they are. As a beginner in economics, we look at ends. What is ends, or what are ends? You say ends in the definition refers to human wants, needs, or desire. That is the needs of men or desire of men. Human wants are many relative to available resources required to satisfy or satisfying the human wants. Human wants are many. Wants, what you want, what you need. Wants, sometimes we define wants as mere desires. Desires of man. In your desires, you may satisfy some, you may not satisfy others. People may have various desires. That's why we say that human wants are insatiable. As a student, you may want to eat jollof rice after school, but by the time you come back from class, you now find out that it is beans that is available for you. Maybe you don't like beans, but you have to take it because that is what is available. Some people or persons may desire to go for Hajj, but they don't even have a BTA, not to talk of flight ticket. Some may want to marry a teacher, but you find out that people that are coming your way are not near teachers. You see, so these are ones that are mere desires. Some may be satisfied and some may not be satisfied. Now, let us look at means. Means refers to limited available resources. That is means in the definition of economics. Means refers to limited resources required to satisfy human wants. Limited resources. Then you now say that means refers to limited resources required to satisfy human wants. Why alternative uses means these scarce resources that can be used for different purposes. Alternative uses. These resources can be used for different purposes. That is, the more pressing needs have to be satisfied, leaving those that are less important. So when we are saying that needs has to be satisfied, you have to pick out the ones that are more pressing. Because these resources we are talking about are limited. You don't have the money to get everything you want. You cannot get everything you want. Not even a firm or country or government, as powerful as America is, their resources are still very scarce. So no government has what it takes or all to do with the resources. So resources are scarce. So since these resources are very, very scarce, that is the road to satisfying your wants. In English, they say that the end justifies the means. That is, what you want determines how to get what you want. But you must have a want. Then you now project how to satisfy that want. Now we look at the nature and scope of economics. Nature and scope of economics. We say that economics is a social science like sociology, political science, psychology, religion, philosophy, and so on. Social sciences deal with various aspects of human behavior. Social sciences, they deal with various aspects of human behavior. Economics is also concerned with human behavior, such as how people achieve their wants. That's what economics is all about. It looks at how people achieve their wants, how man interacts with people in the process of buying and selling. How do you interact, or how man interacts with people in the process of buying and selling? The study of firm and government, which is responsible for the provision of goods and services. So in economics, you study firms and the government that provides these goods and services. You have to study them and know their behavior. And you know, because these resources are very scarce, for a firm have to, let's start with human beings first. As a human being, your resources are very scarce. You now have to decide, you have this money, you want to buy this. What do you do? And the money will not be enough to buy everything you need. You have to buy those first that you think that they are more important to you. You have to get them first before you now go into others. As a firm, that is the one you call company. We equally call it firm in economics. You have a firm, they have to, in their production process, they have to look at the productions and say, this is what we have to produce first, or this is the quantity we have to produce of this because of the limited resources. In government also, government will have to look at their various options and see whether they have to tackle education more or put more resources in education before they can do in agriculture, or put more in agriculture or health. Why can they tackle all at the same time? They cannot tackle all at the same time because of the limited resources. The resources they have is not enough to take all of them at the same time. That is why each, either individual or firm or government, we have to do what? We have to satisfy or try to tackle the needs of those that they consider very important before they can take off to others. We say that it looks at how man interacts with people in the process of buying and selling. The study of a firm and government which is responsible for the provision of goods and services for its people in order to satisfy their wants. Though economics is often regarded as a science, but it does not assume the same level of precision, accuracy as any of the natural, pure, or physical sciences like physics, chemistry, and biology, because economics deals with human behavior, which is very complex and changes from time to time. So economics deals with human behavior that changes from time to time. In physics and chemistry, in your titration, when you add this to that, it will give you what is expected, and it is constant. Tomorrow you add the same quantity, and to the other quantity, it will give you the same thing. But in economics, human behavior changes from time to time, depending on the aspect, or depending on what is available. For example, you may decide to, in economics, we say that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demand. And the lower the price, the higher the quantity demand. You now find out that sometimes, as the price goes up, you might find out that some people will continue to buy those products. Instead of reducing their quantity, they are increasing their quantity. Though we have a name for it in economics, but that is how people behave. You don't expect people to behave the same way at every time. That's why economics is different. At different situations, you expect different answers, and people may still counter those behaviors at various times. So you cannot predict that when I do this, this will happen, or when I give this to this human being, that the other one will happen. No. The situation of human beings, their behavior changes, and they are very, very complex, and it changes from time to time. Basic concepts of economics. Basic concepts of economics. Now, when we are talking about basic concepts of economics, we are talking about want, we are talking about scarcity, we are talking about choice, and we talk about scale of preference, and opportunity cost. These are basic concepts of economics. As a beginner, it is equally very important that we go through these basic concepts of economics. We are going to start with wants. Though we have discussed it a little during our definition, but we have to go expansive this time and look at wants and see what it is saying. We say that wants refers to goods or services that are desired or needed by human beings that give satisfaction. It refers to goods and services that are required by human beings that give satisfaction. Wants. What you want. What you want determines how to get what you want. It refers to goods or services that are desired by human beings that gives satisfaction. Now, the basic human needs includes the following. We have food, we have housing, and clothing. That is the basic human needs. Individuals must eat in order to stay alive. You must live or have something like shelter in order to cover your head. You can't stay out when it's raining and the rain will be beating you and you say you're a human being. There must be shelter or housing for individuals to do what? To put in their health. It's very, very important. Even mad people along the streets, they look for somewhere to hide their heads at the intents of the weather. We equally have clothing. We all need clothing in order to cover our nakedness. If you as a normal person, you go out without putting clothes, people will start shouting and running away from you. It means that you are becoming a mad person. So the basic human needs are food, housing, and clothing. Human needs are unlimited, while the means of satisfying them are limited. Human needs are limited, while the means of satisfying them are limited. What are we saying here? We are saying here that human needs are many. They are numerous. What you need, very plenty. You as a student, you may need pencil today. Tomorrow you say they've stolen your pencil. You need another pencil. The other day you need cleaner. You need an exercise book. You need this. You need that. You need another school shoe because the one you have has spoiled. Numerous things. But the resources to satisfy these needs are very limited, which means they are very scarce. They are not plenty, as you may call it. They are not enough. They are never enough. The resources are never enough to get everything we need. And this, they include tangible goods and intangible goods. So we say that human needs are numerous. They are unlimited, while the ways of satisfying them are limited. What do we mean here? We say that they include tangible goods and intangible goods. When they are talking about tangible goods, they are talking about goods like cars, houses, chairs, and so on and so forth. And it is important here that we maintain a balance between these tangible goods and intangible goods. As a beginner, I always tell you that anytime you are reading, try and keep dictionary around you so that you can look up some words that you do not know. Your inability to decode these words will warrant you or will lead to you not understanding what has been taught or discussed. When we are talking about tangible goods, I want you to know or remember, for those that know it already, that tangible goods are goods that you can see, you can touch, and you can feel them. Goods that you can touch. That's why we mentioned here, we mentioned like cars, houses, chairs, those things that you can touch. You can see them, you can touch them. They are tangible goods, those that you can touch. Then those intangible goods are in form of services. Intangible goods are those things that you cannot see, but you know that they exist. For example, teaching. You know these activities of a teacher. The teacher will teach you, you understand, and you write your exam, you pass. You know that there is teaching, but can you touch teaching? No, you cannot touch teaching. The next one is medicine. You know that the services of a doctor. When you are sick, you go to the hospital. The doctor will treat you, give you injection, give you tablet, you get well. Do you touch medicine? No, but you know that you have been treated and you are well. So these are what we call services, and these are what we call intangible goods. They are intangible because you cannot touch them, you cannot see them, but we know that they exist. So we say that the basic human needs includes food, housing, clothing. Human needs are unlimited, while means of satisfying them are limited. So human needs are many, while the resources with which to satisfy those needs are not enough. I say that these needs include tangible goods, that is those things that you can touch, you can hold, like cars, houses, chairs, and so on. And intangible things such as services, such as teaching, medicine, tailoring, even hairdressing, and so on and so forth. It is equally important to note that in the definition of economics, ends means wants. Ends means wants. That is what we desire, while means refers to resources with which to satisfy our desire. Ends means wants. That is our desire, what we need. And remember I said You may satisfy some, you may not satisfy others. There is no way you can satisfy all your desires because human wants are numerous, but you can never satisfy all. While means refers to resources. So you remember we said economics is a science that deals with human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means. So that ends is what we are trying to explain. Ends and scarce means. So ends and means. So ends refers to wants, while means refers to resources. The ends justifies the means. That is, what you want determines how to get what you want. The ends are unlimited, numerous ones, while the means, meaning the resources with which you use to satisfy these various wants, are very, very limited. There is no way you can get the resources to satisfy all your needs or wants. We say that human wants are insatiable, meaning that you can never satisfy human wants. Once one is satisfied, the next desire becomes imperative. For example, maybe you are hungry today. You say, okay, today I want to eat chicken and rice. You eat it today, eat it tomorrow. The next tomorrow you say, no, it is Indomie again that I want. You see, human wants are insatiable. They are numerous. They are very, very insatiable. Now we look at scarcity. Scarcity. What is scarcity? Scarcity means limited in a supply. In your WAEC, or by the time you get to WAEC or any objective questions, you see the objective question, you say, scarcity refers to dash. The answer is limited in supply. Supply of what? We are talking about limited in supply of resources. These resources with which you will satisfy your desire or with which you satisfy your needs or wants. It refers generally to the limited nature of our resources, such as land, labor, money, and others. A very good example of this scarcity, when you ask a student, what is scarcity? They say scarcity is a state of not being available. No, it's not being available, no. It doesn't mean that a product or service is not available at all. No. What it means is that the supply of that product is limited. That is, it is not enough. A very good example for you, before we proceed, is during some time you hear that you have fuel scarcity. People will tell me to be fuel scarcity. What do it mean? It do not mean that you don't see fuel at all. It means that the supply of that fuel is not enough. That is why you go to filling stations, you see long queues. If you don't see them at all, people will not queue because there is no fuel. But when it is scarce, it means that the supply, the demand has exceeded the supply. So the product is limited in a supply. The supply is limited. So when we are talking about scarcity, we mean limited in a supply. And supply of resources. It refers generally to the limited nature of our resources, such as land, labor, and money. So as we move on, we say scarcity occurs when there is a shortage or limited supply of goods and services compared with our wants. Example, as a student, you need to buy school shoe worth 1,000 naira, but you have 500 naira, which is your resources. It will not be enough to buy what you need or produce goods and services that will go around everyone. You see, your need is 1,000 naira, but you have 500 naira. Therefore, you can no longer satisfy your need because your resources are very, very limited. When resources are scarce, individuals, households, firms, or government are forced to do what? Are forced to economize on their resources and choose between competing alternatives. Remember, for you to choose, there must be alternative. You don't just choose. There must be alternative. That is when you have to choose. So, in conclusion, we have looked at the definitions of economics. We say that various scholars define economics in various ways. There are so many definitions of economics. Some define it as a science of wealth. Some say it is a study of scarcity. But I told you that some say a study of how man takes care of what he wants. but I've told you that the most acceptable definition of economics, as a normal student, if you want to define economics, please go this way. Economics is the science that studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. And in that definition, I've told you that it's the most acceptable definition of economics by Professor Robbins. And ends in that definition means want. Why means in that definition means resources with which you satisfy the unlimited wants. We equally looked at nature and scope of economics. We talked about scarcity, and we talked about, now we are going to look at the assignment. We are going to leave you with assignments which we look at to keep your time moving. Number one, identify the most acceptable definition of economics. Identify the most acceptable definition of economics. Number two, is economics a science subject? We want you to tell us. If it's a science subject, you tell us how it is a science subject. Is economics a science subject? You deliberate on it. Number three, write short notes on wants and scarcity. Write short notes on wants and scarcity. I repeat the assignment. One, identify the most acceptable definition of economics. We have various definitions of economics, so identify the one we told you that is the most acceptable definition. Number two, is economics a science? Three, write short notes on wants and scarcity. We have come to the end of our lesson. You can contact me if you have any problems so that I can clarify on my contact, Obi Ifeanyi, 080-350-328-31. I repeat, Obi Ifeanyi, 080-350-328-31. Stay safe, keep learning, and God bless you.